Redditors with interesting hobbies, what do you do and why? Chemistry. I have a full-on laboratory in my basement. I'm not talking about a science kit. I have over $30,000 invested in it. I used to run an online chemical store from my home. No, I don't make drugs. Amma. 30k invested in laboratory. Not making drugs. Bruh. Attention law enforcement. I am not making drugs at all. Not even a little bit. Do not feel the need to investigate me. Don't even investigate a little bit. Regards, Jess Pinkman, bitch. I grow carnivorous plants. They are super interesting, and they get rid of flies. Has one ever bit you? No, and you shouldn't play with the flitrop's bite. It requires a lot of energy to close, and can harm the plant. I've never encountered a flitrop, but now I know I shouldn't play with it when I see one. You potentially saved some flitrops' lives. With my limited physical ability, I think my sunflower garden with a 9 feet 9 inches tall plant is interesting. Go sunflower go. High school teacher and musician. I built a little project studio a few years ago in my basement. I've now helped a few young rock and roll bands get demos recorded to get them gigs. Some of the players have been astounding, all have been appreciative, and it is a great way to see what kids are up to outside of school. Turns out I really like producing music that isn't mine. Real life school of rock. Love it. I build stone walls on my property here in Vermont. Weekends are spent walking deep into the forest which surrounds me and search for rocks to pry out of the earth. I try to find the largest which I can safely carry and give them a bear hug and carry them back to the wall in process. There's something incredibly satisfying building with stone, no mortar, and finding that perfect fit, as though that rock has been waiting for thousands of years for this purpose. Sometimes the fit is so good that I start back in amazement and look around as though to ask, did you see that? Archaeological geophysics to find Roman roads. I managed to find a previously unknown Roman small town. Beekeeping. It's fascinating to learn more and more about the complex life the bees have. Also, it is incredibly rewarding to eat honey that was made by your bees with the flowers and trees in your own garden. I blacksmith as a hobby, cause it like to make it my profession. I consolidate history and knowledge about rubber ducks. I can tell you a vast history of my favorite rubber duck design and even own an original mold for one. I compile notes about rubber duck appearances in movies and other media on Wikia. I'm not a huge collector of physical rubber ducks for space reasons, but I do have this rubber duck Christmas ornament collection. Mr. Wheel, I would like to know your location. What exactly is the function of a rubber duck? To clean your butt quack. My little brother farms mealworms and cockroaches very successfully, sells them for a profit, and feeds them to his geckos. Also he builds terrariums full of mosses and centipedes etc. I have a really bizarre hobby that I hide from a lot of people, so I made a throwaway to share it with y'all. I like to help cam models with career development. I help with the SEO writing of profiles, tutor them in English, and get them custom graphics for profiles, and help them with other things that pop up while working as cam models. When I lived abroad, I befriended a bunch of girls working in the sex tourism industry. They would show me around the city and buy me all sorts of food. In return, I started tutoring them in English. Once I moved back to the States, I got a TEFL certification and wanted to teach English abroad. But that didn't work out. Fast forward a few years, some of my friends started getting involved with cam modeling. One of the new girls came from a poorer village and didn't know much English, so I agreed to tutor her as a favor to my friend. Word of mouth spread, and more models reached out. I kept doing it because I enjoyed it. After a few changes in the industry and getting to know what the models wanted help with, I started helping out with things like SEO writing, pricing, and other random business related things that are difficult without a strong grasp of English or a bank account in the US. Edit. Whoa, thank you for the gold. You really shouldn't be embarrassed about this. I honestly think this is one of the cooler things mentioned here. Thank you. Unfortunately, when I used to talk about it, most people would initially question my motives. They usually get over it after some explaining, but that gets really old after a while and some people still think I'm a creep just doing it for sex. Okay, since no one is crass enough to ask, You fuck any of the cam models? Edit. Should silver? This isn't worth silver. If this gets gold I'll really be up the creek. I guess this is what some people are really wondering. Huh. Nope. In the 5 years I've been doing this, I've never gotten a nude picture, suggestive texts, or anything like that. They're usually more concerned with adapting to urban life, getting through school, helping out family, and stuff like that. And I'm more interested in just being helpful. Good guy throwaway. I like magnet fishing. It's taking a strong magnet and putting it in canals/lakes or any water bodies and pulling metallic objects out. People find all kinds of cool stuff like guns, old coins, metal safes, swords, and it helps clean the water bodies as well. I've never done this, but have done something similar. I once tied a hook to hundreds of yards of fishing line and flushed it down the toilet. And flushed and flushed and flushed. Hoped I would catch something cool like a ring. When I pulled the line back in, it was poop. I caught poop. Not a bad idea if you used a magnet instead. If a hook next time. I'm a male knitter. I took it up in honor of a very good friend who died suddenly on the eve of her 31st birthday because of an aortic aneurysm. She would spend all year knitting scarves and hats for the homeless and needy to give out at Christmas. I inherited all her knitting stuff and kept up the tradition in her honor. I've been having my own existential crisis lately, and let me just say hearing this brought me so much peace. Your friend was doing something to change the world, and with her passing, she continued to do it, posthumously. Beautiful. I sing Gregorian chant. It takes daily practice and much concentration to sing chant stylistically and musically correct, with proper intonation, but its beauty and transcendental qualities are rewarding. Yeah, but how often do you get asked to do the Halo theme? One of my favorite hobbies is writing letters. I have pen pals all over the world, and I love reading their stories and learning about their cultures, while also sharing my own. It's a great way to get to know about places you may either not have known about before, or had some misconceptions about thanks to the media. I love slowing down to concentrate on a person and respond to their letter, making my own envelopes and decorating them, choosing pieces to go into them with the stationery, and hopefully giving them something to smile about when the letter arrives in their mailbox. It's a lot of fun, and it can be very rewarding too. I'm a fire juggler, and I'm learning to throw knives. At my college, we have to take what is known as wellness classes. Basically, you can do anything from talking about your feelings to learning underwater basket weaving and parkour. My roommates asked me if I wanted to take the juggling course, and now after a few years of practice, all three of us can juggle fire. I build electric skateboards. Want something that goes 40 miles per hour around town and can do it for 20-30 miles? I'm your guy. It takes a lot of research, time, and money, but it's worth it when you ride on your death machine that you made yourself. My more unusual hobby is collecting paper maps. I have every US state and Canadian province, plus most major cities, and since I'm in Florida I have every city or county in this state. I started this many years ago, and I'm glad I did. I got most of my maps free from either state highway departments or through my AAA membership. Unfortunately anymore most state highway departments quit publishing their own maps, and AAA's selection is very sparse now. But there's nothing like correctly folding a paper map and being able to use them either to study the place or navigate if you do use them. GPS is fine, but I like paper maps better. Apnea training and freediving. Just learning about the body's cardiopulmonary system and how you can make it adapt to surviving 5 to 7 minutes underwater has been amazing. And there's nothing quite as peaceful as being underwater and feeling no urgency to move quickly or return to the surface. The ocean animals are also a lot more relaxed when you have that calmness and aren't exhaling bubbles like a scuba diver. Dirt. I like making compost for my garden. It's endlessly fascinating to watch plant matter decay over months and years, and there's endless combinations and methods. Also growing plants for carbon sequestration, since that is a hot topic lately. Astronomy and astrophotography. Started because I wanted to take cool pictures of stuff in space, but taking good photos of deep space objects takes hours, so I bought some stargazing binoculars to pass the time while my setup took pictures. Then I started learning about the constellations and the history behind the naming and the stories and stuff. Got hooked to astronomy more than the photography. It's a great hobby, but it's tough, since the equipment can be pricey and you have to do it at night. Also, my favorite objects are in the winter, so I usually end up doing super cold nights out in the high desert for best viewing. Frigid here just thinking about it makes it hard to go out more than 3 times a year. But when I go, it's usually for a couple days camping trip with viewing/photography every night. Now I miss living in Southern California. Joshua Tree was my favorite. Airsoft sniper. Airsoft, in general, gets me out of the house and outside once a week. Good for some exercise, good for sportsmanship and teamwork, good to flex the creative muscles for problem solving. I've made awesome friends, traveled to places I'd have never seen before, nuclear power plant, steel and paper mills, military training grounds, abandoned coal cities, and seen and done things I never would get to experience sitting at home. Helicopters, rappelling, 1000+ people games. I went into sniping specifically because the usual run and gun became a bit stagnant. Playing as a sniper makes it an entirely different game, with a huge emphasis on stealth, which doesn't necessarily mean wearing a ghillie suit and communication relay. Plus when you pull off a really difficult shot it can be super rewarding. There are some days where I'll have a terrible time, but there's that one shot I managed to land that made the whole weekend worth it. I raise butterflies. Mostly monarch butterflies, but also eastern black swallowtails and some others that occasionally show up in my garden. The occasional moth too. I bring in eggs or any caterpillar I can provide food and a safe place for, until they are fully grown. I release them when they become an adult. If they end up sick or diseased, instead of releasing them, I care for them until they pass away. When I find them sick or in need of help out in the world I bring them in and help them recover. If they don't get better, they have a calm place with me until they pass. It is both a heartbreaking and joyous hobby to have. When I'm out in the garden they will land on me and let me hold them. When they are sick they come to me and let me care for them. Even ones I have not raised. I've learned so much from them and feel blessed to have the trust of such beautiful creatures. Butterflies are dying out due to humans destroying their natural habitats and food. Please plant milkweed, that one small kindness can help them so much. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that bell to turn on notifications, so you'll be sure to know when the next video comes out. Want to watch some more? Check out my other videos. I really do appreciate everyone who helps make these videos possible. And as always, thanks for watching.